The sound never leaves me. Not the screams, not the blood, not the running, the sharpening. Slow, steady, again, again, again. At the time it meant nothing. A servant sharpening a knife, a cook preparing for a feast, a normal sound, a harmless sound. How many disasters begin that way, with something ordinary? I spent 3 days trying to discover who was making that sound. I never did. People today remember Philip as Alexander's father. That is unfair. Before he was Alexander's father, he was Philip, the man who transformed Macedonia, the man who defeated his enemies, the man who united Greece, the man preparing to invade Persia. Wherever he walked, people made space. Wherever he spoke, people listened. The future itself seemed to follow him. I was a palace servant, and like most young men in Macedonia, I worshipped him. The palace was preparing for the largest celebrations I had ever seen. I had spent weeks carrying supplies, organizing guests, preparing halls, running messages, serving nobles. If everything went well, I might finally leave kitchen duty. I might earn a permanent position in the palace, a future, a career, a place among the people who mattered. I wanted one thing: a perfect celebration. History had other plans. The city overflowed with visitors. Nobles, generals, ambassadors, priests, merchants, musicians. Everyone came for the same reason. Philip was marrying again. The bride was Cleopatra, a young Macedonian noblewoman, beautiful, well-connected, and dangerous. Not because of who she was, because of who she might become. Nobody talked about it openly, which meant everybody thought about it. Alexander, the prince, was already an adult, already famous, already respected. Yet, suddenly, his future seemed less certain. Alexander's mother, Olympias, came from Epirus, not Macedonia. If Cleopatra gave Philip another son, a fully Macedonian son, born to a Macedonian queen, what would happen to Alexander? Nobody knew, and uncertainty is dangerous in royal families. Then the prince entered. The room changed, not as much as when Philip entered, but enough. Alexander was 20, sharp, intense, restless. People watched him even when he wasn't speaking. That is usually a sign. Some men inherit titles, others inherit gravity. Alexander carried both. Then Philip entered, and the hall erupted. Applause, cheers, smiles, praise. Everywhere I looked, people celebrated Philip. The applause seemed endless. Years later, I realized something. Alexander did not hate the applause. He hated that it belonged to someone else. The wine flowed, then more wine, then enough wine to make wisdom leave the building. A man named Attalus stood, powerful, connected, drunk. He raised his cup. The hall fell silent, and suddenly every instinct in my body told me something was wrong. Then Attalus shouted,
"May the gods grant Macedonia a legitimate heir."
Every person in that room understood the insult, because it was aimed directly at Alexander. The prince stood. His chair scraped against the floor. He threw his cup. Wine exploded across the hall. Attalus shouted, Alexander shouted. Years of tension exploded at once. Then Philip stood, drunk, furious. The king reached for his sword. The room froze. Father, son, king, heir, the future of Macedonia standing 10 paces apart. Philip stepped forward and stumbled. The king crashed to the floor. For the first time in my life, Philip looked old. Silence filled the hall. Alexander looked down at his father, then laughed. Not kindly, not cruelly, bitterly.
So this is the man who plans to cross from Europe into Asia?
Nobody knew where to look. Philip was helped up. The feast continued, but something had broken. Everyone felt it. The banquet ended, the arguments ended, the shouting ended, but the wound remained. Alexander left Macedonia for a time. Olympias left as well. Some believed father and son would never reconcile. Yet kingdoms do not stop because families quarrel. Months passed, then seasons. Philip continued preparing for Persia. Alexander returned. The kingdom moved forward, and eventually Macedonia gathered for another celebration. Not Philip's wedding, his daughter's. Cleopatra, daughter of Philip, would marry Alexander of Epirus. The greatest men in Greece came to attend. The city filled once more. The wine flowed once more. The musicians returned. And nobody knew how much would change before the celebrations were over.
I woke before sunrise, and for the first time since Philip's wedding, I felt hopeful. A year earlier, I had watched a celebration collapse into humiliation and anger. This time felt different. If everything went well, the palace would remember the servants who kept order while kings and nobles filled the city. I might finally earn the position I had been chasing. A permanent place in the palace, a future, a second chance. The city already buzzed with excitement. Everything was perfect, exactly as I had hoped. The guests were happy. The king was happy. The city was happy. The future looked limitless. Persia waited. Victory waited. History waited. By afternoon, thousands lined the streets. Philip loved theatre. He understood something many kings forget. Power must be seen. So he entered without bodyguards. A message. Look how secure my kingdom is. Look how loved I am. Look how little I fear. The crowd cheered. Philip smiled. The sun reflected from gold and bronze. For one perfect moment, everything seemed exactly as it should be. Then I heard it. Not really, only in my mind. The sharpening. Slow, steady. Again, again, again. And suddenly I felt afraid, though I did not know why. One man broke from the crowd. Fast. Faster than my eyes could follow. A flash of metal, a scream. Philip stopped. The cheering stopped. The world stopped. The king looked confused, almost offended, as if reality itself had broken a rule. Then he fell, and the future fell with him. People ran, people shouted, children cried, soldiers drew swords. Nobody understood what was happening. I dropped the water jar. Someone pushed me. Someone fell. Someone screamed. The assassin was dead. The king was dead. And suddenly one question hung over Macedonia. Who rules now? At first I heard one voice, then another, then 10, then 100. Alexander, Alexander, Alexander.
The names spread across the city. Not everyone trusted him, not everyone supported him, but everyone knew him. And in moments like these, familiarity matters. That morning, everyone came to celebrate Philip. By sunset, nobody was talking about Philip anymore. They were talking about Alexander. The king who united Macedonia was dead. The man who dreamed of conquering Persia was dead. And somewhere in the darkness, a young prince was making decisions. Hard decisions, necessary decisions, the kind that turn princes into kings. Most people think Philip's story ended that day. They are wrong, because the greatest thing Philip ever created was not his army, was not his kingdom, was not even his dream of Persia. It was the young man who inherited them all. The sharpening stopped, but Macedonia would hear the echo for years. And before the week was over, the heir would become king.